Hello everyone, this is Linda again. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we'd chat a bit about Oauth2. I see a lot of questions almost every day about Google APIs that are inherently related to a misunderstanding or lack of understanding of authorization. What I thought we'd do today is go over what Oauth is and why we actually need to use it. Let's start with why we actually have login and passwords. By having a login and password, I can ensure that only I can access my private data. By using Oauth, we can ensure that an application can then access my private data without me having to give them my login and password. Before we had Oauth, we used to use something called client login, which was basically the user's login and password. Whenever you made a call to an API, you would send the user's login and password as part of the request string. This worked, but there were a few issues. The requests were being sent across open HTTP since we didn't have HTTPS back then. Also, if the user changed their login and password, this would often break any calls that had a login and password hard-coded. Finally, as far as the API could see, all requests came in using a login and password. So there was no real way to see there was an application making this request on behalf of the user and not an actual user making the request. So there was no way to limit an application's access to, for example, only read-only. An application had, by default, full access using client login. So how does Oauth actually work? What we need is a way to authorize an application to access user data without the user's login and password. To achieve this, we use an authorization server. In order for your application to use an authorization server, it first needs to be registered on that authorization server. Basically, you need a client ID and a client secret to identify your application. The client ID and client secret will identify your application to Google on every request. The first step is showing the consent screen. The consent screen tells the user the name of your application, a way of contacting you if they need to, as well as a list of the data you intend to access. They then have the option to grant you that access or not. I have some videos that shows you how actually to create your credentials on Google Developer Console. I'm not going to go over that in this video. There are a few things you need to know before you go ahead and create your client. The main thing is, which type of client do you need? The first question that I have is, what type of application do you have? Do you have an installed application? Is this application going to be running as, for example, a cron job? Will it be an installed application on somebody's Windows desktop? These are installed applications, and you would need to create installed credentials. The difference is installed credentials will always return the authorization code from the server to the client that requested it. And this can be done because an installed application will always have a static endpoint. If an installed app is running on my Windows PC, then we always know to send it back to that endpoint that it came from because it's always going to be my PC. Another option is that you could have a web app. Web apps run on web servers, which means that the call is actually coming from the user's PC. You don't actually know where to send it back. Therefore, a web app would have something called a redirect URI as part of the settings in Google Developer Consoles. Setting up the redirect URI properly is extremely important. It must be exactly match the redirect URI that your application is sending from. So if your application is sending from a specific port 3500, then you need to make sure that you added port 3500 in your redirect URI. If your application is expecting it to go back to /authorize, then you need to include that in the redirect URI. It has to match exactly. The port number has to be the same. If you have a trailing slash on the URL, it needs to be there. It is very important that the redirect URI be configured properly. Otherwise, you are going to get a redirect URI mismatch error. There is another type of client which I should probably mention, and that is service account clients. I'm not going to go through service accounts in this video. I intend to create a separate video dedicated just to service accounts. But I will say that service accounts are different. They do not require user interaction when authorizing, so there will not be a consent screen. They are most often used for back-end applications. One of the last things that we should talk about is whether or not your credentials expire, and the fact of the matter is they don't. As long as you don't delete the project on Google Developer Console, your credentials will continue to work. I have a couple of security points I would like to leave you with. First of all, you should never share your client ID and client secret. This should be kept private between you and your developers. You should never release it as part of an open source project. Finally, if you have a web application, once you have completed development on it, make sure to go into Google Developer Console and remove localhost as a valid redirect URI, and add instead a redirect URI that links directly to your domain. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this quick video about OAuth, and I hope you learned something. And as always, any links can be found in the description section below. And please like and subscribe if you enjoyed my content. It really helps.